Dear viewers, here on episode 13 of Following Christ, I want to talk about a message that I probably should have shared at the beginning. Is if you are having trouble making a decision, you should obviously pray about it, right? But I also want you to think about is, and I got this idea from watching the show The Chosen, because reading the Bible and praying and talking to God and Jesus is one thing, but watching the show the the show The Chosen, because I'm more of a visual person, right? So that really helped me to understand what life was like back then. Kind of more of a realistic version of how Jesus was. Obviously, the guy's not actually Jesus, but it still gives us a visual representation of what was happening and what Jesus was doing. And so that made me realize to this message that if, and it helps you to take action on this message, is if you are having trouble making a decision, just ask yourself, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do in this situation? So you're having an argument. Jesus is not going to lash out. He's not going to. He might get upset and look sort of like disturbed or like kind of like kind of disappointed. But he's not going to lash out. He's not going to yell, because yelling, in this sense and form, I believe is more from the devil. It is negativity, right? And this is what the devil feeds on: negativity and depression. Let me ask you this. How many times from when you're out in public and then you're coming home and then you walk in the house, does your energy shift like almost immediately? Because I can tell you this, more times than not, I can obviously be aggravated and stuff when I'm coming home, but I'm still in a sort of uplifted sort of mood. But as soon as I come home, I just, I feel just negative. I feel like arguing. I feel like yelling all the time. And it's because there's demons, there's negativity in this household in which you must pray to your Father and to Jesus to rid you of, right? I guarantee that there's probably cases way, way worse than mine when it comes to coming home and just feeling absolutely just probably tired, super aggravated. Anything is going to annoy you. The sound of a fork, the way somebody breathes, the way somebody talks, what they're talking about. You just want to have something to argue about. And it is the devil's lies. He is feeding off of the negative energy. So, what you must keep in mind is, what would Jesus do? He's not going to lash out, he's going to keep his calm. And obviously, he's always right. So, if you disagree with him, he's going to be a little bit disappointed. So, you're about to close up shop, and a customer walks in right before, and he wants something small. You're gonna give it to him and be like, "Sorry, man, should have came a minute before." What would Jesus do? I would say he'd probably help the person that just came in, gave him that little small thing, right? I'd say that even if that person came in with a huge order, Jesus would still help him, because we can look at the verse of I don't know exactly what it is, but it says if one is forced to go 1 mile, go 2. If you're struggling with a decision in life, read the scripture, look into the words, watch the show, and it'll kind of help you discern more of like what Jesus would do in that situation. And obviously, as Christians, it is our responsibility to live as much of a life that is following the way and the example that Christ set out for us. Actually, my father apparently has this friend called Brandon Moore. He's a pastor, in which I will link his audio recordings down below if you want to give them a little bit of a listen. I'm going to go listen to at least a little bit of it right after this video.